This is So Many Sequels, your book club for movies. I'm David, and I'm all alone this week, so I thought I would do a little box office rundown for the weekend of August 1st, 2025. The month of July has been filled with big blockbuster opens from major franchises and tentpoles, but several people online have wondered whether or not these movies are going to have what it takes to be successful by the end of their runs. While most of the films we'll talk about this week are doing pretty well, one is struggling a lot more than people expected. As always, like and subscribe. We're trying to hit our goal of 404 subscribers, so please join us if you want more news, reviews, and previews from So Many Sequels. Now let's get into it. Fantastic Four First Steps dropped hard this week. Estimates right now for weekend 2 have it at 40 million. That would be a 66% drop from last week. You'll remember it opened to about 117 million, one of the top opens of the year, top 5 at least. Bigger than what Marvel has had previously in this year, with Brave New World opening in the 80 range and Thunderbolts opening in the 72 million range. So this was their biggest open since Deadpool and Wolverine last year. So a 66% drop is not good. It's pretty in line with Brave New World, which dropped 68% earlier in February. However, Thunderbolts had a drop of only 56%, which had some kind of encourage that maybe Fantastic Four would have a similar run here in the United States. Internationally, this movie continues to do pretty well. I mean, it's up to 368 million worldwide, headed towards at least 500 million. People are speculating. Industry experts are speculating. However, if it has more big falters like it did this week, maybe those projections start to come down a little bit. In the U.S. so far, it's at 198 million. Probably will be 2 million by the end of Monday for sure. Again, these are also the estimates for the weekend. We won't know the full numbers until Monday, midday Monday, when we get the actuals, the final results for Sunday. But usually these estimates are within a couple million of where it's going to be. Why did it fall so much? I don't know. I get the impression over the last several years, because this is not the first time we've seen drops in the 70% for Marvel movies like Thor. Love and Thunder had like a 70% or so drop. The Marvels had about a 78% drop, huge back in 2023. That was coming at the very end of the writer strike or mid writer strike. Even Spider-Man No Way Home had a pretty large drop weekend to weekend back in 2021. So it's not like this is new necessarily, but there were high hopes for Fantastic Four First Steps. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where it goes from here. The Bad Guys 2 is in the number 2 spot this weekend with $22.2 million. It is new to the box office. I remember seeing the first Bad Guys 2. I didn't catch it in theaters, but I did watch it with my son, and he really seemed to enjoy it. I kind of liked it as a guy who likes heisty type movies. This was kind of something that worked for me, and I'm kind of interested in seeing the Bad Guys 2. I know the book series gets a little crazy. Haven't quite gotten to that step with my son yet, but maybe soon. Maybe soon we'll look into that. Anyway, $22 million open in the number 2 spot. The original opened in 2022 to $23 million, 23.9 to be exact. So right in line with its predecessor. This one did have about a $10 million more budget, about $80 million budget for this one. So can it do the kind of numbers that the first one did? The first one was fairly successful. So they have kind of, I think, high hopes for this with kind of limited, animated competition in August. Maybe it will continue to do well. Up next, we have the number 3 spot, The Naked Gun, starring Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. This is a reboot of the Leslie Nielsen classic, The Police Squad movies. I just rewatched the first Naked Gun not long ago, and it is very funny. It's kind of funny how some things change and some things don't in regards to what is good spoof humor. Anyway, $17 million opening for this. So far worldwide, 28.5 million. For director Akiva Schaffer, this is his 5th film. I think his most recent film was the Chippendale Rescue Rangers film that they did for Disney Plus. And I enjoyed that a lot. I've heard a lot of good things about The Naked Gun, and I've heard from both friends and from just kind of people I know online saying that they really enjoyed this much more. It's Schaefer's best open since The Watch in 2012. And then for Seth MacFarlane, this is pretty much right in line with A Million Ways to Die in the West. That opened to like 16.9 when it came out. The Ted movies from Seth MacFarlane have obviously done much better, but yeah, this is kind of right in there. Maybe good word of mouth will help this have a better than average drop with the competition that's coming out next weekend. We'll get into here towards the end, but that those movies aren't necessarily, I think, going to hit all the same demos. So I think that Naked Gun has a good chance of a strong second weekend as well. We'll just have to wait and see. Superman is at number 4. Superman drops to 13.8 million. Still pretty good though for weekend number 4. 44% drop. This movie continues to have pretty solid drops of 50. I think its first weekend was 53. Then it had like 55, maybe only 44 this week. That's pretty solid, especially when you consider that there's a lot of options for people to go see this weekend. So far, U.S. total sitting at 316 million. Worldwide total sitting at 551 million. There's a lot of speculation as to what the magic number is for this movie to hit. Whether there is one, James Gunn himself has said that there's not necessarily a magic number. Some don't want to accept that. They think that this needs to hit like 600 or 650 million to be worldwide to be considered a success. But I think Warner Brothers is going to be happy with the positive reviews, a decent box office turn. They pumped a lot of money into this, but you can't beat like a good, like the buzz around this has been so good that, it's had some slight stock bumps. That's good. So I think they're going to be interested in investing more in this. And, long term, when you think about it, the first Iron Man, while very successful at the time, it's like the 19th in terms of box office for the MCU. I'm sure if you adjusted it for inflation, it probably isn't necessarily there. But like, if it is a good start, and if they can continue on this trajectory, they'll be all right. Um, and at this point, it's looking like it will be the number one comic book or superhero movie of the year. Fantastic Four was going to be kind of competing with it, but we'll have to wait and see where it ends up. Fantastic Four is still projected to do a better than Brave New World and Thunderbolts, but it may not outpace Superman at this point. In the number 5 spot, finally dropping down to the number 5 spot, is Jurassic World Rebirth, which brought in 8.7 million in its 5th weekend. That's the first time this movie has dropped below 10 million for the weekend. That's a drop of 34% from last week. So this movie continues to have pretty decent holds as well. U.S. total sitting at 317 million so far. Worldwide total sitting at 766 million. So despite the less than glowing reviews for Jurassic World Rebirth from critics in general, but also here at So Many Sequels Crew, you can watch our review of Jurassic World Rebirth if you're interested. We weren't super high on it, but we had a very we had a very spirited discussion just to kind of all reach the same opinion. It was kind of interesting how that all turned out. But despite all those reviews, audiences themselves are not quite tired of the dinos just yet. So I anticipate we will see another Jurassic World. I wonder what they'll call that one. Jurassic World Kingdom, Jurassic World Kingdom, Jurassic Kingdom. I'm just saying that because I have the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes poster in the background. Anyway, elsewhere on the box office, normally I stick to the top 5, but I want to mention the other debuting film this weekend, and that is Together. James Franco, Alison Brie. This made $6.8 million this weekend in the number 6 spot. Really not too bad. That is the second highest open for a neon film. And for a neon body horror in mid-July with all these big tentpole competition, I think that's pretty solid. It opened actually on Tuesday, the 29th, and July 29th. So its total so far is up to 10.8 million. So a solid run. It's like I said, it's the second highest opening for a neon film since Long Legs. 2024 is Long Legs. That movie opened to 222 million back in 2024 and actually finished second the weekend it debuted. There's a lot of strong competition though, so I'm not surprised that this didn't necessarily crack 10 million. All right, well, that is your top 5 and also your number 6 movie for the weekend. And coming out next weekend, opening wide, we have Freakier Friday, starring Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, or Lohan. I'm not sure. It's a Robot Chicken reference for anybody who's still watching at this point. And then also you have Weapons. I actually really have been digging the marketing for Weapons. It's very eerie. The first trailer kind of felt very different than the early marketing, but just the idea, these kids all disappearing, the um, surveillance footage catching them. It's a very good imagery. I quite enjoy that. Anyway, that is all I've got for this week. I hope to see you guys back next week. Josh and Garrett will hopefully be back trying out this box office breakdown for you guys. Maybe if you guys like it, you give me a like or you let me know in the comments. Maybe I can do a few more of these, or maybe we can start isolating that section of the news update that we do every week. So yeah, hit the like and subscribe. We're trying to hit 404 subscribers and on our way to 500, on our way to 1,000, on our way all the way up. So we really hope you'll join us. All right, I'll see you guys next time.